From founding Off-White to working with Louis Vuitton, Virgil Opblah transformed how we think about clothing brands. His visual style and strategic collaborations created a blueprint for modern brand building. Abloh showed that meaningful storytelling could be just as important as the product themselves. He broke barriers in fashion and created clothing that told stories. His success came from understanding both design but also what makes people excited about a brand. In today's video, I'm breaking down Virgil Opblah's most valuable advice for clothing brands. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to scale your existing clothing brand or just brand, this advice is invaluable. Let's dive in. So in this first clip that actually has gone a bit viral, Virgil explains how less is more, right? He talks about the importance of the environment that you place your product in. Let's give it a watch.
If I put this candle in an all-white gallery space, it looks like a piece of art. If I put it on in a garage, it looks like a piece of trash. You know, like someone would throw it away. It's dented. And I think I often use this analogy in design. I could either design the candle and spend a lot of time like telling you about the candle, or I could just design the room that it sits in.
So we all know the saying less is more, right? But Virgil actually got a bit famous for saying it in this specific interview because less is more, and it represents how important branding is. Essentially, the environment that you place your product in is what dictates the perception of it, right? So if you place your product, as he explained so diligently, in a trashy environment, it will be perceived as trash. If you place your product in a luxurious environment, it will be perceived as luxurious. And for you who has kind of a higher price point product, this is especially important because people need to be able to justify the amount of money that they will be spending on your product, right? And they can't do that if it looks like your product is a cheap thing and placed in a trashy environment. You need to curate a lifestyle and an image that represents that price. So perception is reality, and especially if you're selling a higher price point product, you need to be focused on this, because if you're selling at, let's say, 400-500 euros, people need to justify spending that amount of money, right? And you need to do that by creating a reality that justifies that price point, and you do that by creating a luxurious environment or a lifestyle or a vibe that, you know, appeals to that customer in a way that they justify the amount of money that they will be spending with you right there and now. So do this by identifying what your brand stands for, the lifestyle, the persona, the feelings, the customer, etc., and curate a lifestyle image around that. Make it speak and appeal to your customers in a way that they understand it. Environment and branding is perception. That is what will sell your product and not the product itself. So once again, back to the point. Placing a trash can in a museum will make it look like art. Placing a trash can in trash will make it look like trash. So that is what sells the product, not the actual thing itself. To break it down simply, right? It is product first, then it's the lifestyle around that product, then it's the customer who you are actually appealing to, and that builds the brand, which then creates the community, right? So this is kind of the funnel that you'll need to be focused on in this very order, to be honest. So this is the exact breakdown.
Create a community.
Yeah.
Like rather than the garments just going out and having a life of their own, it makes me think you should be doing like a movie screening every time you do it, not just putting it online. Anything to get people physically in the same place that are around your brand.
Okay, you mean a screening is like, yeah, like an event. Like
Like it could be at someone's apartment. Be like, oh, we're dropping
party,
a new,
right?
once every month, you know, or once every, so people know, you know, parties are great.
Now in this second clip, Virgil mentions community, right? And the most important part about community is that you have someone who follows along your journey, right? Community is one of the pillars behind the biggest brands nowadays. It is hard to find a trending, popping, whatever you want to call it, brand that does not have a solid following and community behind it, right? It's one of the most important things you can, go about creating when you run a brand in today's day and age. Without it, you will not have a loyal customer base, and you will be relying on first-time customers without no sense of following. So not only from a brand building standpoint, you need it, but you also need loyal customers to, be profitable and not rely on first-time customer acquisition, which obviously is more expensive than returning customers. And the best way to go about building a community is just like Virgil says, find a way to include your specific community in product launches, campaigns, brand building, etc. Whether that be creating an event in an environment that your customer relates to, or showing behind the scenes, telling your personal story, etc., etc. It doesn't really matter how you do this, it just needs to be in a specific way that cultivates a sense of relatability to your specific audience. And there's thousands of ways that you can do this, right? Louis Vuitton does it by having exclusivity, right? Smaller brands does it by showing personal story. Some people talk about this and that. It's not really that important what it is. It just needs to represent your brand in your specific way and be tied to your specific audience, right? So what this does is that it builds loyalty, and obviously that means returning customers, and from there you build a following. So this is just this beautiful feedback loop you get from building a community for your own brand.
Every brand needs like a hit, like one thing that it's known for, or like the takeoff item. Without that, nothing else happens after that, because it gets the ball rolling and then you can like play with it. Often as a designer you have to like come with like a hit idea, and then it's like, damn, just because you put it out that one season, you can't like do it over again, because the buyer or the public, it takes a while for it to become a classic.
So as Virgil just mentioned in this clip, he actually talked about how you just need one product. You just need one product to get things going and to get the ball rolling. That's all, right? It's basically 20% of products drive 80% of the revenue. And that is usually what you see in fashion, right? You see a small amount of products driving 80% of the revenue. So that maybe you have a first initial launch on a product and that goes very successful. That is what starts the brand, what gets the, the first initial recognition for your brand. And then from here you build on top of that. But once you see, the growth and you actually start seeing things scale, you will still see that 1 or 2 or 3 products being the head focus and main drivers of revenue. I can with 90% certainty say that if you look at your backend right now, go to the top 3 to 5 bestsellers, you'll see that they amount to 80% of the revenue, without a doubt. I know it without even knowing your backend, right? Literally, I know it. I've been looking at so many brands and we see the same thing every single time. In fashion, you usually have one hero product that gets things going for you. We've talked about Odd Muse in other videos, to name an example, where Amy had this one blazer sell for more than 7 figures and start everything for her. One blazer created a multi 7-figure business for her, right? That's it. As you know, the famous 80-20 rule, 20% effort, 80% outcomes, right? That is what applies right here, right? You have 20% of products that drive 80% of revenue, and that amounts to 80% of the outcome. So it's just the basic things to keep in mind. It's something you should always keep in mind, because when you're scaling, especially like with ads, not to go into that side of things right now, but you will always see that a few products are taking up all of your ad spend, and that is what is driving the new customer acquisition and scalability. You'll see this for 90% of fashion brands. That product is your foundation. It is literally the stepping stone that lays the bricks for the rest of the products and future bestsellers. It gets the ball rolling. Put your focus on that and test other items on the side. So while you're having your main bestsellers and you're scaling with those, obviously see if you can get more bestsellers by testing different products and creating new stuff. But still, never ever disregard your bestsellers. Always keep them in stock. Always keep pushing them.
What makes you unique is gonna be what makes you stand out. And that's the case for everyone. What seemingly doesn't make sense is going to be what's going to propel you forward.
As Virgil just explained right here, you need a unique mechanism, right? It's not enough that, you just have a nice pair of pants or whatever. No, you need a unique mechanism, right? And what gets most people over the line, it's not that you are, your products are made of 100% cotton or linen or whatever. No, the thing that people usually care about is who wears it, right? So let's say LeBron James wear your pair of pants. Let's just say Nike, right? Or Michael Jordan for the Jordans, right? People bought the Jordans because Michael Jordan were wearing them. There were thousands of other, manufacturers producing this kind of shoe, but because Michael Jordan wore them and they were tied to his brand, people loved them and they became a thing. So your product, once again, this goes back to environment, you need that unique mechanism. So this is the key to actually gaining traction and getting those first initial best-selling items. Being sustainable and handmade is not something people buy into, right? So to get those first few bestsellers, you need to know what is unique about that product, because they buy into your unique aspect of it. Handmade, but your storytelling is inspiring. Sustainable, but your prints are made in the coolest way. Unisex, but the fit is unique and the lifestyle portrays what the product stands for, right? These are all ideas built upon what everyone talks about, but with your own unique twist. We call it the striped elephant internally at the company, right? Everyone knows what an elephant is, but a striped one, that will sure catch the attention. So you have just taken a picture of a striped elephant just to explain to you, as I've just mentioned, right? Your product is not that important. You have to have a good product, right? You need to have a good product, but the uniqueness of it is what makes it the product, right? That is what gets the customer over the line. That is what, gets your brand. Because when people hop on your Instagram and they just see, dresses, right? Doesn't matter. Thousands of people have dresses. But if they see a specific girl that they look up to wearing a dress, boom, you now have a unique mechanism. Or if they see a unique detail on your dress that they haven't seen before, now it's a dress with a unique detail. Or if they see the dress in a specific environment, in you know, whatever, on a yacht, whatever it is. That's a bad example, but you get the point, right? It's not about the elephant, it's about that it's striped. So keep that in mind. Your unique aspect, you need to figure out what is your unique story, what is your unique thing about your product, and what can you brand it as. Virgil Opblah's approach to building brands continues to inspire designers and entrepreneurs around the world. His creative vision and business strategies helped him achieve incredible success in the fashion industry. The lessons that he left behind show that it is possible with the right mindset and approach to create clothing brands that truly connect with people and that stand the test of time. Thank you for watching, and if you found these insights valuable and you want my help to take your brand to the next level, click the first link in the description to apply to work one-on-one with me.